We have AI, ChatGPT. We have genetic engineering, stem cell research, human genome project. And some people said we no longer need purpose, no longer need faith or Christ. My answer is actually opposite. In the 21st century, where technology is so fast developing, we need more Christ. Why?
What if you turn hardship into grace, anger into serenity? Everything changes. Make your life a masterpiece. Welcome, I'm Yannick, your host, and now joining me, Dr. Ming Wang. Dr. Ming Wang is the pioneering eye surgeon who invented the breakthrough amniotic membrane contact lens and gave away the rights to his sight-restoring patents, valued at over $6 billion annually, to help those in need. Have you ever wondered, how do you break through barriers, build bridges, and seek common ground in a divided world? This is the episode for you with the one and only Dr. Ming Wang. Dr. Ming Wang, such a honor to have you back on the show and to discuss your incredible work that you are doing besides of being a outstanding eye surgeon.
Thank you, Yannick. Thank you. And it's a pleasure to be on Yannick's show. And I'm Dr. Ming Wang. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. And today, I'd like to share with you all on the Yannick show about an important, actually the most important issue that faces our nation and our world at the dawn of 2026 and also into the 2026. And that is the issue of division and polarization of the world around us. We are becoming a world and a people who are increasingly divided, increasingly unable to work across political aisles, racial divides, and ethnic divisions. To solve the problem that we really need to solve as human beings: gun violence, opioid crisis, environmental disaster, racial tension, poverty, education, jobs, healthcare, an area that I'm involved every day. So each of us is often wondering these days that will we ever be able to overcome our polarization and find common ground once again? Because otherwise, human beings are running into this steady spiral down into self-destruction due to polarization. And we are all vulnerable human beings living on a little flying piece of rock called the Earth, which is flying with a maddening speed with 680 kilometers per second, together with galaxy, Milky Way, into the center of the universe where the big attractor is located, the biggest black hole that is known to mankind. And we could be hit by any meteoroid any time and being annihilated. So human beings really have no choice but to try to find a way to work together, because we're all vulnerable inhabitants of this piece of flying rock, Earth. So at the dawn of 2026 and into 2026, let's ponder and think about this most important question that faces human race today. That is, are we going to be like every other species on this 4.3 billion year old Earth that has vanished, have gone extinct? Probably due to self-building self-destruction. Or are we as human beings will be different, become the first species in history of this planet Earth that's be able to identify the fault building in each of us, the need for human being for power, control, and money. That is what polarizes us. And rise above, find a way to overcome our division and polarization, to find that common ground, find a way for human race to survive, find a way for human race to become the first species on planet Earth ever that can self-correct and can survive. So today, we will talk about this important issue of overcoming polarization, finding common ground. And I will talk about why we are divided, unprecedented divided across political aisles, racial divides, and ethnic divisions. Second, I will talk about what are the pressing issues that our society is facing. Third, I will address what's the reason causing the polarization division, and how we can rise above that human nature and find that common ground. So the title of my presentation today is Appreciating Freedom in America, or Freedom in the World by Finding Common Ground. On the screen, you see my contact information. And as a viewer, you can take a picture of the screen so you can contact me with my email address and website if you want to after the presentation. And there's a free link to watch the film Sight. Sight is released by Angel Studios, tells the story of me as an immigrant and our foundation's work in helping blind orphan children from around the world, and also how in the process we have developed the amniotic membrane contact lens, which has helped millions. So let's begin the journey of finding out how we can overcome our polarization and find common ground as human race. Yannick introduced me. I'm not going to repeat, but other than highlighting two things. One is, as I mentioned, we have developed a technology called amniotic membrane contact lens, for which I've donated my patent to the world. And today, amniotic membrane contact lens is a $5 billion a year industry, and is used nearly every nation, and millions of patients have been helped, including many, many blind orphan children that our foundation has been able to help. I actually donated my patent to the world, so I did not make any money myself in the past 20 years when this technology being developed and used. But I'm happy that I did my part as one human being to help all of us to improve the quality of lives. Second, I want to talk about the foundation. Our foundation is focused in helping blind orphaned children from around the world. To date, we have helped patients from over 40 states in America and over 55 countries worldwide, with all side restoration surgeries for these foundation patients performed free of charge. The story of the amniotic membrane contact lens and the story of many of those blind orphaned children that our foundation has been able to help is in the film Sight, distributed by Angel Studios. Our world, our nation is unprecedentedly polarized. We are becoming, instead of the United States of America, the divided states of America. The central question that faces us at the dawn of 2026 and into 2026 now is, can we overcome our polarization and find that common ground? And what is that common ground? Common ground is not a compromise. Common ground is the pursuit of truth, of everything that we do share as human beings. An example of common ground would be music, would be food, would be love. Doesn't matter what nationality, ethnicity, religion, political persuasion, lifestyle. We as human beings all desire these things. And those are examples of common ground. So it's a pursuit of truth. Over the years, my friends have been asking me, Ming, why are you so motivated to help us overcome the polarization and find the common ground? Because I've been interested in this issue for many, many years, passionate about it. My answer to this question, why I'm so motivated to help us overcome the polarization and find the common ground, is very easy. Because I've been there. I've suffered. I've suffered from extreme form of polarization, which is dictatorship. Let's don't go there. So briefly, what was that? The suffering that I suffered as a child. I grew up in China during a period called Cultural Revolution. From 1966 to 76, the government in China shut down all universities and colleges of the entire nation and forcefully deported every single high school graduate to some of the poorest part of the country and condemned each one of us a life sentence of hard labor and poverty. Over 20 years of cultural revolution, they sent away to labor camp for life 20 million young people, destroying the life of a whole generation of young people. 1974, I was 14. I finished my junior high. I was looking forward to attending high school and beyond because I always wanted to be a doctor. So I had to attend high school and college, but I was kicked out after junior high and I was not allowed to go to high school, and I was going to be sent away to labor camp, just like 20 million others, for life. In order to escape this devastating fate of being sent away to labor camp, I picked up a Chinese violin, erhu, to play, and I learned to dance. Because if I could do these things, I may be able to get into government song and dance troupe, therefore avoid being sent away to labor camp, being allowed to stay in the cities, because government stealing musicians and dancers in the cities. That actually did not work, so I was going to be sent away to labor camp, just like 20 million others. Then I got lucky. 1976 rolled around, the Cultural Revolution ended. China reopened all of its colleges, first time in 10 years. As you see in the film Style, my parents urged me to go back to school, but instead go back to ninth grade, because 3 years prior, I dropped out of school after ninth grade. But they want me to jump straight overnight into 12th graders and participate in the college entrance exam compete against other 12th graders for their less than 1% chance of getting to college, because they were afraid the government may change their mind in the following year and shut down colleges once again for another 10 years. Fortunately, due to my parents' help, I got lucky. I worked really, really hard, as you see in the film Side. I got into University of Science and Technology in China. And in 1982, with $50 in my pocket with a Chinese English dictionary, knowing no one in this country, America, but with a dream for freedom, I came to America. I got a doctorate degree in laser physics, and then I want my old dream of wanting to be a doctor reemerged. And actually, I was racially discriminated against by some professors Here in America, they say you are Chinese, you're no good, you cannot get into medical school. Fortunately, I did not give up. I worked even harder. So after postdoc with a PhD in laser physics from MIT, I got enrolled into Harvard Medical School and MIT, joined MD program. And in 1991, I graduated, MD magna cum laude. And I invite my parents over because I want to thank them for having brought me up and having educated me and having helped me in the most critical time during Cultural Revolution in China. The film site has been dedicated to my parents. The reason I got 2 doctorate degrees, one in laser physics, one in medicine, is because medicine is so technologically driven. I'm probably one of the few, very few, laser eye surgeons in the world today who also has a not only MD, but also a PhD degree in laser physics. I have performed over 55,000 laser vision corrections now, including on over 4,000 doctors. I even got to meet then President Ronald Reagan at the White House. So returning to the issue, the divided States America that would become instead of United States America, the central question today is, can common ground indeed be found? Because many people feel that, for example, politically, we're so far apart. Will human beings ever, will Americans ever be able to find their common ground? And I want to show you one example of finding common ground in the area of faith and science. In the film site, you see that when our foundation rescued this 5-year-old Indian blind orphan and brought her to America, she was completely blind. Her eyes were completely scarred up, and she would never be able to see. There was no treatment. This is Kajal. That's her name, her eye. All scarred up, no treatment. So as you see in the film site, I embark on a journey to try to restore eyesight in Kajal, bring her out of darkness. People sometimes ask me, Ming, why are you so motivated to help these kids to come out of darkness with the foundation and the research? My answer is very simple. Because I used to be in darkness myself. During Cultural Revolution in China, as a teenager, I was in darkness. I could see no future, no hope in my future. So today, when I see a kid in darkness, I can relate to them. I can feel their pain. And I want to do my best to help bring them out of darkness into light. So I started doing research on Kajal, trying to restore her eyesight, trying to reduce the scarring in her eyes. Then I found out that the only way to do research is to do research on fetus to reduce eye scar, because a fetus does not scar. So however, the question is, how can we do research on a fetus to benefit Kajal and other patients who have scar in their eyes, but without hurting a fetus' life? So that brings up one of the most polarized issues in our time today. Do science and moral ethical faith principles have common ground? You see, we have rapid developing science and technology, artificial intelligence, stem cells, genetic engineering. We, for the first time, have the hope to use these rapid developing technologies to address some of the most critical issues in health and in medicine. The 5 leading causes of mortality in our human race today in year 2026 are cancer, stroke, cardiovascular disease, systemic disease such as hypertension, diabetes, and Alzheimer's disease. These diseases may have, for the first time, cure if we use a genetic engineering stem cell research. But what if this research would affect the life of unborn child. Should we still do this research? If you do research, how do you justify hurting a baby? If you don't do research, then we will never be able to find a cure to these major human diseases and mortality causes. So do science and faith have common ground? To study this issue, I even co-founded a common ground network to study how to find the common ground in faith and science, and established common ground seeking steps, STPS. You see, my fellow citizens of America and fellow citizens of the world, this is method to help us find the common ground across political divides and ethnic divisions and racial divisions. The common ground seeking steps, STEPS. S, see the common ground. You see, as human beings, if we are unwilling to see, we'll never find it. If you meet someone who has different political persuasion, if you're unwilling to even look for it, you never find the common ground. T, trading places. As an eye doctor, I found that if I need to help you see better, to help your eyes, I have to listen to you. I have to trade places with you. I have to use technologies to simulate what you see, what you don't see, because you are the number one authority on this planet about the problem of your eyes. Because you're the only person who is seeing through, who are seeing through that pair of eyes of yours. And you're the only person who can tell the rest of the world what you can see, what you cannot see. So if I have to solve your eye problem, I have to trade places, be you, to see from your perspective what you see, what you don't see, through technology simulation, through listening to you. That's the only way to help you see better. So I have to trade places. I use that technique, and that's how I practice medicine. E, empathy. Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you, when we meet someone who is different from us today, whether political differences, whether lifestyle differences, whether religious differences, race, ethnicity, what we tend to do, we tend to yell and shout and demonizing the other side sometimes. But instead of doing that, can we adopt what we call the SALT principle, SALT, when you meet someone different? S, start a conversation. A, ask a question. L, listen. T, then talk. P, persevere. If there's price to pay, if it's the right thing to do, there's a price to pay. And finally, seek the common ground. Actually do it, not just talking about it. I myself am a Christian, and Jesus Christ is who that inspired us to establish this common ground steps. You see, he saw the common ground with us as human beings. He traded places by becoming one of us. Feel what we feel, suffer what we suffer. E, empathy. He demonstrated empathy even to the people in the lowest round of society. The woman by the well. Nobody wants to talk to her. Christ did. P, persevere and pay the price. He paid the ultimate price by dying for our sin at the cross. And finally, he saw the common ground with us. He actually put into action. So with Dr. Rice Brooks, who actually wrote the book God's Not Dead, which is made into a movie. In that movie, my life as a student, a conversion journey was featured in the film God's Not Dead. He and I established this Common Ground Foundation and also published the Common Ground Bible Study to show that it's God's calling, at least for all the Christians, to be common ground seeker, because he is the ultimate common ground. And also Bible taught us how to find that common ground, the common ground seeking steps, STEPS. So returning to the question about fetal scarring research to help cajole, and through much prayer, and we realized that perhaps the way to tap on the fetal scarless healing to help patients such as Kajol reduce her eye scar but without hurting a fetus' life is to use the amniotic membrane, the membrane surrounding each of us before birth. And maybe the membrane secreting certain factors that is what's giving the unborn child, the fetus, the ability to heal without scar. So I went to hospital, get many placentas donated by me, to me by mothers who, after giving birth to children, the placenta is discarded anyway. I took the placenta back in the laboratory, peeled out this thin, saran wrap thin membrane, and did much research and eventually invented the amniotic membrane contact lens. When we put this amniotic membrane contact lens onto injured eyes, magic happened. The eyes start healing as if it were not born yet. Because before birth, each of us, our eyes, our body can heal without scar. So eyesight is restored in many of these patients. Then I asked myself, did I invent the amniotic membrane contact lens? Interestingly, my conclusion is no, because I did not invent the amniotic membrane. I did not invent the placenta. Got it. As a scientist and a Christian, I was just lucky to be given a precious little opportunity to catch a little glimpse of part of his original creation. So the credit goes to where the credit belongs. So I decided to donate my patent. So I put my patent online. So immediately, scientists from around the world knew about this technology. And I even went around the world over a 20-year period to nearly 50 some countries and free of charge taught over 10,000 eye doctors how to use the technologies. Today, amniotic membrane contact lens, as you see in the film site, is used by eye doctors from nearly every nation in the world, and millions of patients have been helped. And sometimes patients or friends ask me, that Ming, you are not very smart. You did not make any money in the process because the amniotic membrane contact lens now is a $5 billion year industry. My answer is that I'm not stupid because I merely recognized who actually invented the amniotic membrane contact lens. The credit should go to where credit belongs. As we get older, our eyes get drier and drier. Dry eye caused corneal injury is one of the leading causes of sight loss in elderly. There's no good treatment. This patient in her 70s came to us. She had this persistent dry eye and pain, couldn't see for many years. Went to many different medical centers, couldn't be helped, and we put amniotic contact lens on. She could see because her eyes heal like a baby, tapping the fountain of youth. The amniotic membrane contact lens is not only a technology that's helped transform the world today, but also shows one of the key divisions in our society, which is science and moral, ethical, faith principle division, there is a common ground. So amniotic membrane contact lens story serve as a powerful example that even in sharply divided fields such as science and faith, we can find the common ground. So just a word about the vision for all of us today in year 2026. There are 5 human eye prescription conditions: myopia, hyperopia, astigmatism, presbyopia, and cataract. All 5 conditions can now be treated now using these top 4 technologies. Left upper corner smile. LASIK surgery is becoming obsolete. LASIK surgery is being replaced rapidly by even better technology called SMILE, small incision LASIK. Lower left corner is implantable contact lens. If you wear contact lenses and you don't want to remove at bedtime, I've got a technology, put the contact lens inside your eyes, So you never need to remove. In the middle, for the longest time, we thought that over 45, there's no treatment for your reading, up close vision. We do have the technology now in year 2026. It's called Forever Young Lens. In fact, for those over age 45, with one surgery, Forever Young Lens, we can treat all 5 human eye prescription conditions: myopia, hyperopia, astigmatism, presbyopia, and even cataract. You will never need glasses to drive. You never need reading glasses, and you will never develop cataract. You could be 99 years old, your eyes will still be maintained at 25 or 30. On the right is laser cataract surgery. Cataract surgery can be performed with laser or blade. However, even in advanced nations such as the United States, these top 4 laser technologies are only used by less than 5% of laser eye surgeons today. The rest of doctors are still using older blade technology. Why is it? Even though laser is better, it's because medicine, as I said earlier, is so fast developing. Most of the doctors have MD, but few has also in-depth training in the laser technology, such as getting a PhD in laser physics, as I did. So most of the doctors are learning. I'm sure some years from now, all of the doctors will be using these top 4 laser technologies. Instead of using these top 4 laser technologies, as in the United States today, only 5%, at the One Vision Institute in Nashville, Tennessee, we use the top 4 laser technologies 100%. We're leading the nation in the percent and the world as well, in the percent of high-tech application for laser vision surgeries. If any of you are interested, every Tuesday, as you see on the screen in the red, we host a vision Zoom, educational Zoom, 6:45 Central Time. You're welcome to tune in. You can take a picture of the screen, and on the lower left corner is my email address. You can email me with any questions. I'll be happy to help you. As I mentioned, I'm lucky to have been one of the probably only few laser eye surgeons in the world who has an MD, but also a PhD in laser physics. So I want to share. So I published 10 textbooks in laser eye surgery, focusing on the weak area of all doctors, which is technology, to share my strength. And many of them the books have been translated to different languages. I performed the first small incision LASIK in the state. And as I mentioned early, we now have technology to help people over age 45 to get rid of not only distance glasses, but also get rid of reading glasses forever, as well as get rid of cataract, all in the same surgery, Forever Young Lens. And as I said early, cataract surgery can be performed with laser or blade, but we're leading the charge of performing all of cataract surgeries with laser, number 1 in the United States in the percentage of laser application for cataract surgery. Living in Nashville, Tennessee, I have my share of my country music star patients, such as Dolly Parton and others. We now, One Vision Institute has helped patients from all over the United States and the world. In the film side, you see Kajol, the blind 5-year-old blind orphan Indian child. And the film side is about her remarkable journey to try to come from darkness to sight. And this is real Kajol, her photo. In Cultural Revolution, I learned how to dance to escape labor camp. Now I use for medical charity purpose. I developed a concept called the eyeball, ballroom dancing to raise money to help people see, because all of these children's surgeries are free. And so the money raised to help their travel and others. And also during Cultural Revolution, I learned Chinese violin, erhu. Now I use it instrument to help build the common ground between East and West, showcasing the best what Asian culture has to offer. As a citizen of this great country, America, I also realized the responsibility as an immigrant. I established the Tennessee Immigrant and Minority Business Group to help people find the common ground across races and help each other in business and help America. As a Christian, I also try to find a common ground between faith and science by talking about faith and science do have common ground at the churches. Oh, this is a tremendous honor. For the first time, this title, Nashvillian of the Year, has been given to a Asian person in the southern city of Nashville. I'm teaching a local Christian university about faith and science. So my life story briefly, it shows that science and faith do have common ground. I wrote my the life story as immigrant into a book, and which made it into a movie. And the last video on show is a little video about the trailer of the movie Sight.
Well, I hope you see again. It said it was impossible. Ah, there he is, the good doctor. You're going to be on the cover of the Tennessee Herald tomorrow. See that?
Our pro bono office got a call from India. A little girl, 6 years old.
Apparently, street beggars make more money if they're legitimately blind. The stepmother pulled sulfuric acid in each of their eyes. Well, how do you see again, your job?
Is it true that multiple doctors declared your patient irreversibly blind?
Yes, I developed this new breakthrough technology. Here we go. Do you see the light?
No, I can't see anything.
This patient shows. She reminds me of some things in the past. I think you're adorable.
The present is made possible by the past.
A long time ago, back in China, there was an uprising in my hometown. He said to me, maybe bad things happen.
So I came to America.
Yes, it's hard getting into medical school. And you coming from China, don't waste your time. You cannot choose the past me for more stuff. Sir, Mrs. Maria.
I want to give her a chance to see again.
I don't even know if I can perform surgery anymore. Stop it. You need to just let go. I just don't want Maria to end up thinking job. Let's do our best. Always around. We can do this.
I refuse to believe there is no purpose.
Baby play bubbles.
Could you always teach me that there's more to life than what you see? You have to keep going. Don't you said it was impossible. You see yourself, Maria.
So
And the film is released by Angel Studios. And you can take a picture of the screen. There's a free link. And by sharing this free link with friends, you're literally helping our Sight Foundation. And so more people will be aware of our foundation's work, the amniotic membrane, and more of these blind orphan children will be helped around the world. So thank you for your help to the foundation by sharing this free Sight movie link with friends. Returning to our main theme today, our nation is so polarized. You know, when I came to America in 1982 as a poor immigrant with only $50, this is a statement that really impressed and stuck with me for the rest of my since 43 years since. That is, what is America is truly about. America is truly about the spirit behind this thing. I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend to my death your right to say it. But ladies and gentlemen, as we enter in year 2026, we all realize America is no longer the country that defined by this statement. We are becoming so polarized across political aisles, racial differences, and ethnic divisions. So instead of United States America, we are actually becoming a divided States America. Because we're so divided, we're so polarized, we're no longer able to focus on the problems that truly faces our nation and the world today. Gun violence, opioid crisis, environmental disaster, racial tension, poverty, education, jobs, healthcare. The reason we're unable to solve these problems because we're so busy dividing ourselves due to human nature for power, money, and control. So now you can ask a question. Then, Dr. Wang, if we are indeed so divided, and indeed the reason for such a division is because human innate need for power, money, and control, can we ever have hope to find the common ground as human race? Can we ever, as human race, to avoid this nearly certain fate that has actually faced every single species that has ever appeared on planet Earth? They have all gone extinct. Will we too, as well? My answer is yes, we can. Because division, polarization, is based on human innate need for power, money, and control. So if we recognize that underlying cause of division, and if we can then find that correct diagnosis, meaning the cause of division is human need for power, money, and control, and give the right treatment based on that diagnosis, we can rise above. So the answer is heed a higher calling of shared humanity, to recognize we're all vulnerable citizens on this planet Earth, this flying rock. We all could be hit by a meteoroid someday, and we all be annihilated. So we have no choice but try to find a way to work together. Seeking common ground is about that seeking common ground steps, STEPS. S, you got to see. If you're unwilling to see common ground across political, racial divides, religious differences, you will never find it. S. T is about trading places. E is about demonstrating empathy, the SALT principle, SALT. S, start a conversation. A, ask a question. L, listen. T, then talk. And P is about paying the price if it's the right thing to do. And finally, it's about putting to action, actually seek that common ground. Because the critical elements of this methodology, how to find a common ground, involves the T, trading places. So it depends who are you trying to find a common ground with. You're going to find different common ground. They say a friend in need is a friend indeed. So it's not about what you think is most important, is what your friend needs. Most important and need is the most important. So the common ground depends on who you are seeking common ground with. It's about what he or she needs. It's not about what you need. So let me show you an example. I've been exploring this concept that common ground depends on who am I talking with, because at the end of the day, it's built a relationship is starting where he or she is, not where I am at. So let me show you some examples that I found some success in finding common ground with different people. You see, in America, as an example of the world, that we are increasingly diverse in culture, race, ethnicity. 20% of America is Latin Americans, 18% are African Americans, 7% are Asian Americans. These three so-called minorities are already 45% of the US population. In a few years, they will become the majority for the first time in US history. But also not only where we are, but also where we're going. The median age of white is 58, Asians 29, African Americans 27, and Latino Americans, legal only because illegals we don't even know them, are 11. So not only where we are as a nation, 45% of minorities already. They become majority for the first time in U.S. history in a few years, but also where we are going. Then you say, Dr. Wang, why you talk about this races, these multi-races, right, ethnicities? Why? It's because with different people, you can find different common ground. So you have to know what do they need. So let me challenge all of us today. What do you think the white people need? What do you think the Asians need? What do you think the African Americans need the most? And what do you think what Latino Americans need the most? Because if you don't know what they need, you will not even have any chance to find the common ground. Because finding common ground is about trading places, the T. So think about it. What do you think is the number one issue facing each of these four races? Well, studies have shown consistently for Latino Americans, the number one issue is immigration issue. For African Americans, the number one issue is affirmative action. For Asian Americans, the number one issue is they want respect for all races and reward for their hard work. For white Americans, it's about restoring America's tradition. So if you're going to find a common ground with each of these race and ethnicities and the culture, you have to know what is their number one issue. A friend in need is friend indeed. Their need is not your need, it's your friend's need. So it's about trading places and it's about identifying what your friend needs. With different people, there's different common ground. So let me show you some examples that I found some success in finding common ground among different group of people that I've been associated with over the years. As I mentioned earlier, the common ground among Latinos, African American, Asian Americans, business owners is our shared need to achieve business success and our shared need to help each other. So I established the Tennessee Immigrant Minority Business Group to help these minority businesses to help each other so together we can help America. So that's the common ground for this organization, Minority Immigrant Chamber of Commerce. The common ground at our foundation is different because it doesn't matter where the doctors come from around the world speaking different languages, our common ground is to help blind orphan children. And as I said, there is a common ground between faith and science through the example of the development of amniotic membrane contact lens. There's a way to advance science to treat major human illnesses, diseases, but at the same time preserving human life. And I belong to this organization called 917 Society. Our common ground is to pass this U.S. Constitution in the hands of 8th graders. Doesn't matter what race, ethnicity, or political persuasion, that's our common ground there. I belong to a church called Bethel, and we have all cultures represented. We have 71 countries represented. And our common ground there, it doesn't matter what country you're from, our love for Christ. I belong to an organization called Living Step Ministry. It's about applying scripture Monday through Friday. So our common ground there is to how we can find a way to work with people with different religious beliefs, lifestyles, ethnicity, nationalities at the workplace. We have American Bible Project. Our common ground there is how we can bring the Bible back into school. And I work with Down in Canada. Our common ground there is to help the ladies in America to help them work across political racial divides. So, in summary, today's theme is at the dawn of 2026 and into 2026, we realize that we are living in an unprecedentedly polarized and divided world. We're becoming a nation and a world that is so increasingly divided and polarized, and which raises a fundamental question to our human being as human race, is that will we be just like another species that in the history of 4.3 billion years of Earth that has gone extinct because our self-building, self-destruction, human need for power, money, and control is what's causing the polarization, division, and is what may ultimately doom us to become extinct as species. So this question of overcoming polarization and finding common ground at the dawn of this new year and into 2026 is the single most important issue facing human race today. Is, can we be different? Can we recognize our intrinsic human nature fault, which is the diagnosis of why we're divided, polarized, because human nature for power, money, and control? Can we rise above, recognize ultimately it's our shared humanity, that shared vulnerability that make us realize that we have no really other way to live but finding a way to share, to work together to survive. So, as I said, in America, we're becoming a divided states America through division or polarization, through political or racial divides, ethnic divisions, increasingly divided, unable to solve the problem we face. In a country where the minorities are soon become the majority, we're increasingly divided and across race, ethnicity, and political persuasion and religious divisions, unable to solve the problem we really need to solve as a nation: gun violence, opioid crisis, environmental disaster, racial tension, poverty, education, jobs, healthcare, because we're so busy dividing ourselves. So is there hope for human race? The answer is yes. Also, in the era of rising international coalition of authoritarian government, the only way to protect our way of life, our liberty, freedom, and democracy is to rise above human nature, to recognize our internal division and self-destruction is what will ultimately weaken us and make us not able to protect and defend what's most dear to us: freedom, liberty, and democracy. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this critical juncture of our nation and of the world, let me ask you the most important question. We are currently at a crossroads. We all have a decision to make for year 2026. Will we let our country and the world continue spiraling down further down the deadly slope of polarization and self-destruction? Or will we wake up, rise above, recognize the reason, the diagnosis of our polarization and self-division is the human nature for power, money, and control, and rise above human nature to recognize that we can work together despite our differences, and we can put the interest of God and interest of the nation at above the interest of politics or anything else. Today, at the dawn of 2026 and into year 2026, I have presented to all of us a vision. A vision. It's interesting, as an ophthalmologist, I'm presenting vision. A vision for finding common ground in a polarized world. And that vision is, we know what the diagnosis is. It's human innate need for power, money, and control. And we know what is that treatment, is the common ground finding steps, as TPS. See the common ground, trade places, empathy, pay the price, and finally put into action. And we recognize common ground ultimately is about trading places. It's about recognizing who your friends are and start from where they are, not where you are. Through the methodology that we have established in the Common Ground Network, how to find common ground, the STPS, especially when you meet someone different. Challenge yourself in year 2026. Every one of us, think about it. If you meet someone with different political viewpoint, religion in 2026, can we, for the first time, instead of yelling and shouting, apply the SALT principle, SALT? Start a conversation. Ask a question. Listen. Then and only then, talk. Through God-inspired higher calling, rise above human nature for power, money, and control. Because Jesus Christ is the ultimate common ground. Everything he did in a few decades on this planet shows that he traded places by becoming one of us. He tried to find that common ground with human beings. It's about seeing beyond our differences, our cultural differences, our ethnicities, our political differences, racial above. So you may say, Dr. Wang, if we are able truly to overcome the polarization, political, racial, and ethnic divisions, what is the ultimate common ground? My answer is the ultimate common ground we all have as human beings is our shared humanity, is our country, is our world. For Christians, is our God. And if you believe other faith, religion is the overwhelming realization there's a creator. So we need to heed a higher calling, the treatment for this problem, the division, for which we have the diagnosis, is due to human nature for power, money, control. And the treatment is heeding a higher calling to rise above human nature, to ask a question that since we are all vulnerable inhabitants of this planet Earth, flying rock, which could be hit by a meteor at any time and be annihilated, can we stop self-destruction, self-polarization? Can we become a species for the first time in the 4.3 billion year the Earth history can survive as species, not go extinct? Can we put the interest of God and country, interest of humanity above the interest of anything else, including politics? So in conclusion, I present a vision today that I want to share with you that stem from my need, my life experience, having lived through a dictatorship and without freedom, without common ground, and extreme polarization. I want to say that, people who appreciate sight the most are those who used to be blind. People who appreciate freedom the most are those who used to not have freedom. I used to not have freedom, as you see in the film Sight. So I want to send that message to all of my fellow Americans, all of my fellow world citizens, that we are in a critical juncture. We can choose the pathway of self-destruction and extinction, or we can choose a way to survive by recognizing ultimate for human being to survive is to recognize we need to trade places. We need to find that common ground. And common ground, as I mentioned, is music, is food, is love, is our shared humanity. That's a higher calling above human nature for power, money, and control. And that is a must. Otherwise, we will no longer exist soon as human race. So it's about freedom, appreciating freedom by being able to finding that common ground. Love America, love human race is not just something we say, it's something we do. So finally, I want to challenge all of you listening to this show. In this new year, can you change yourself? We cannot change anyone else, but can you change yourself? Can we, each of us become a human being, a new human being? That is, when we meet someone who is different, political persuasion, race, ethnicity, religion, instead of yelling, shouting, and demonizing the other side, can we instead apply the SALT principle? Start a conversation, ask a question, listen, and then and only then talk.
Into some of the questions, I think it's so important what you're doing. I think like the courage that you also have really to seek the common ground, which is really not an easy task really to do, because as you mentioned, right, there's so many different people with so many different needs, and therefore we actually have to first and foremost figure out what kind of needs each and every one group actually has. Just
Yes.
within a Christian community, right, we already have a lot of division because there are certain different ways we look at, for example, politics, and that already creates division. So, shortly, what do you think? How divided are we actually? You said very important, power, money, and control. It's all what we really seek, right? And that's also what we have in common. So, talk a little bit of how you personally feel, how divided we are today.
Great question. Great question. Because as a doctor, we know that at the end, we have to assess the situation. We have to really recognize the status. We have to recognize the symptom and then carry on, give the proper diagnosis as such. To answer your question, that Yannick, I think we are unprecedented divided, and across all those divisions. For example, I met President Ronald Reagan many years ago, and he was telling me in the White House, and then I think the Speaker of the House was a Democrat. They will have teas together, with the Speaker of the House, Tip O'Neill, or someone that the people when once a president won an election, it used to be the other president, the losing candidate, will congratulate and will speak, positively about who won the election. And it used to be that people can talk to each other and work together on projects of national and world interest. But we are coming away further and further from that. And based on human innate need for power, money, and control. And in the process, the social media technology has only worsened us for their financial gains. Those social media for clicks and advertisement, they siloed us. If I have hold a particular viewpoint, the social media, the algorithm will send me more of the same viewpoints, make me feel that everybody in this world is feeling exactly the same way as I do. So I become basically radicalized and holding a very narrow view. So social media has worsened our polarization and letting each of us sink deeper and deeper in each of our narrow silos as such. So to answer your question, we are unprecedentedly polarized, the human race, and based on money, power, and control, and exacerbated by social media, and exacerbated by this situation where power in today's world means a lot more money than before. That having a power means has so much financial implication than ever before. So that is make the we unprecedented polarized, unprecedentedly unwilling to work across political outs, racial divides, and ethnic divisions. And that's not accident where we are seeing all the political elections are increasing polarized. It's not talk about reasoning anymore. It's about yelling and shouting. It's about arousing the 90% of us, which is the human emotion, and try to short circuit our reasoning. And it's about polarizing people for power and control. So essentially, these political leaders recognize that it's about divide and conquer. If you can divide people, you can conquer them. But as people, for ourselves, we need to recognize what's happening. We need to travel the other way. We need to really recognize each of us has the responsibility to change ourselves to be a common ground seeker in the new year.
How do you experience that on a personal level? I mean, it's one thing of politics, right? On TV, it's super polarized. But when you are within your community, how does it look like? How does your community in general respond to this polarization?
For great question again. First of all, my own community, the daily life I live in, I'm seeing increasingly ever more and more polarized. It used to be I could go to a chamber of commerce and talk about a political viewpoint, then I can focus on issue, let's say gun violence, without talking about politics. But today, the moment I talk about gun violence, that people on each side will start yelling and shouting, and they don't really care about the issue itself, but only the party's viewpoint. For example, gun violence issue. As a scientist, we do research. We try to find solutions to unknown problems. To me, there is a common ground, despite the fact we think there's no common ground, the left and right. But there is a common ground. That is, we all want to reduce campus shooting. We all want to reduce the incidence of gun violence, right? At the end. Okay, so if that's our common ground, why can't we devise a way to, to test it? For example, there are two cities that say are very bad in terms of gun violence. One city utilized the methodology that one party believes, which is reduce the guns, and the other city utilize the method the other party agrees to, which is the increasing the psychiatric disease illness treatment. Then a year later, see which method works better, whichever works the best. As in science, we know that's the truth through experimentation and truth finding. Okay, so whichever method works better, let's adopt that. So you see, at the end of the day, people yelling and shouting about gun violence don't care about gun violence. Because if they do care, they want to solve the problem. In fact, not solving major problems is actually the reason for the polarization. In fact, today, these polarizers do not want to see those problems addressed, gun violence, opioid crisis, environmental disasters, because the presence of these problems is precisely give these people the power. So they actually don't want to solve the problem.
So that's very sad, and especially if you have people like you who are really interested in solving problems, right? As a scientist, right? It absolutely makes sense, and everyone will actually agree. What do you think is it really? You mentioned obviously it's power, money, and control, but what is it really underneath? Oh, because ultimately we all want to live in a better, safer, in a more healthy society that is prosperous for all of us, right? What is it that really impedes this?
I think for people like us who recognize, number one, the truly need to overcome the polarization of common ground, and number two, as our foundation have done, did a bit of research and finding out the symptom, the diagnosis, and treatment. I think the key in year 2026 is help people connect the dot. Meaning, we are innately driven for power, money, and control is for survival. Human basic instinct is to survive. So the myopic way of looking at survival is for power, money, and control, the nearsighted way. It's interesting as an ophthalmologist talk about nearsightedness. But I want to put a correction. I want to correct the nearsightedness of human race, meaning have them help all of us seeing a bit further, to seek in the future, to recognize the long-term solution for survival is to overcome the short-term division polarization. Because the division polarization will ultimately kill us. So it's to connect the dot, to recognize the ultimate motivation of human behavior is survival, and it's for long-term survival. In order to long-term survive, we have to overcome the short-term, short-sighted approach, which is for power, money, control, for division, to recognize we have to overcome that division polarization. Otherwise, we will go extinct as a species on this planet. And then people say, the too big a problem, man. The world is so divided. Where do I begin? How can I address that problem? My answer is very simple. It starts with you. It starts with every one of us. In the dawn of new year, let's ask ourselves the question: are you willing to change yourself? Am I willing to change myself to become a common ground seeker? I've learned I cannot change anyone else. The only person who have any chance to change, that I have any chance to change, is myself. So if every one of us realize the importance of human survival, to have a long-term viewpoint about survival, which is the overcome polarization, find the common ground, each of us changes, then we will have hope.
This is brilliant, and that's what I really want to dive into it, because you are the best example. Okay, if someone can tell and give a blueprint of how to live the best life possible, then it's you. So walk us a little bit through what you specifically do, for example, to remain and have this clarity of mind that you have. Okay, so tell us what you do on a day-to-day basis in order to remain so serene, so clear, and whatever you do, because I can tell you are on purpose. You are every single day, at least it seems, on fire, because you have this incredible purpose, what you're doing. And you're not just doing one thing, you're doing multiple things at the pace that 99.999% can never ever follow. But you have certain steps. So walk us through what you actually do, so that our viewers actually see and experience a little bit how it is like to be Ming Wang.
Oh, thank you. I am no different than you, Yannick, and all the viewers of this program. We're all different human beings. Well, each of us have a strength and our weakness. And if you ask me, say, well, Ming, why are you so passionate about this issue, right? The overcomposing, find the common ground. And the answer is that we learn as human being by experience. I have been there. I've suffered through extreme form of polarization, which is dictatorship. And I recognize that's not the way to live. And I recognize that the most important is freedom, liberty, and democracy. And the most important is ability to dialogue, to find that common ground. So my passion for common ground came from experience of having not freedom. Just like, as I said, the people who appreciate sight the most are those who used to be blind. People who appreciate freedom the most are those who used to not have freedom. So the film Sight is a message from me, someone who used to not have freedom, to relate to the world my message that it's so precious what we have. Let's appreciate what we have by being more willing to work together across our political, race, ethnicity, religious differences. So that's my motivation now for common ground. In terms of how I live through my day, my main job commitment is medicine. So I do laser eye surgeries. I do smile, LASIK surgery, cataract surgery, forever young lens surgery to help people get rid of glasses, distance and near, and get rid of cataract. We use the best technology and to do that. So that's my mainline work, and also our foundation to help blind orphan children. And so through the film Sight, that we wanted people to see the film and know our foundation work. And it's a free link that I shared on this talk, and so that we can help more blind orphan children. Because I used to live in darkness myself, and I want to help these kids get out of darkness also today. And
From Darkness to Sight, actually, an outstanding book. Everyone who is really listening, From Darkness to Sight. We will put all the links of your books, obviously, below.
Yes, that's a book. From Darkness to Sight is the story of an immigrant from China. And now, other than medicine, I involve many other things, and in particular is interacting with different group of people in a society to help all of us find common ground. Tennessee Immigrant Minority Business Group, for which I'm the co-founder and the president, we have educational forums all the time to educate the business people, Latin Americans, African Americans, Asian Americans, white Americans, how to conduct their business, improve their business practice, improve their success in business, and help each other and help American economy. Okay, so I'm involved with, as I mentioned, 917 society that put the Constitution in the hands of every eighth graders, recognizing America is the founding fathers' vision about all men are created equal. And I'm part of organization, as I mentioned, Living Set Ministry. How, as a Christian, how do I apply Scripture Monday through Friday? How do I work in the workplace Monday through Friday? Work with Muslims, atheists, Buddhists, and people with different faith, religion, political persuasions. And I'm part of my church, Bethel. We have 71 countries represented. So I help the church expand its influence into diverse culture community. And I speak out about this issue about faith and science at common ground. So want people to master technology, and so that we can ultimately solve human illnesses, the mortalities, but also at the same time maintain our faith, moral, ethical principles, at the same time protecting life. And finally, I'm very passionate about really trying to speak about this issue about common ground. Any opportunity I have to at the Rotary Club, Chamber of Commerce, because I feel I have an important message to share in the 21st century to human race, that it's important vision to share from my history of having not freedom, to realize that we are so blessed, or all of us, to be living. We also blessed as human beings that out of trillions of possible genetic combinations, we are the 0.001% to be born, to have life. And we need to appreciate that by recognizing our fundamental duty of as a human being is to help make this place a little better place to live, is to help human beings survive by recognizing that we need to overcome our short-term need for power, money, control to find that common ground. And finally, I enjoy my time with my family, my wife Anli. You saw her actually in the film side. We have 7 cats now, 7 cats: Spaghetti, Tennessee, Lily, um, the Karishi, Minnie, Fluffy, and the Midnight. So 7 cats, 1 chicken. And I do lots of things for the community. And I'm also heavily involved in competition, ballroom dancing. I'm preparing for a national start, a major competition with probably 7,000 entries in a few weeks. And I rose as high as in the final in the United States Ballroom Championship in Pro and 10 dance. And finally, I'm proud of my heritage, Asian American, Chinese American. My goal is to connect East and West. So in upcoming Chinese New Year, every year I host a erhu, my Chinese violin performance concert, to be held at the Steinway Piano Concert with about 300 people attending, to share the music from East and music from West, music from around the world, just like our eyeball, the charity event, to help people see. It is uniting people that I'm most passionate about.
You are a true reconciler, a true gift of God. Really, you are truly living what Jesus Christ was living and showing us. He really was showing us the way, the truth, and the life, right? And so, just quickly, I want to know what you actually do from the very morning when you get up. When do you get up? What do you drink? Do you drink coffee, tea? What do you eat? Kind of walk us through a day. I'm really curious what you do. How does it look like? Because you don't look like you are surfing on Facebook here all day long and just reading the threads.
Yeah, I would say that using today's example, I got up early and I have a cup of coffee and I plan my day. I know that I have an important meeting with Yannick, with you. So I put that alarm, the clock there, so I don't miss it. And I thought about what I will share with you, and I looked at my PPT and make sure this, updated, and think about the theme that I will be sharing with you, which is overcome the polarization, find the common ground at the dawn of New Year. And then I communicate with many, many, many patients. I have many patients that actually have consulted us from around the world with eye conditions that I formulate the plan to take care of them. Several of the patients that contact me today are from other countries, from Malta, a little island country outside Europe. And for example, today, this morning, and someone from Australia. Today, and I communicated and I tried to find out more information about these patients and figure out the plan how we can take care of them. I communicate with my team about many patients. Tomorrow, December 31st, will be closed. So today is the last day to take care of these patients during the New Year's break. I anticipate what some of the problems my patient may have. And we discussed several complicated situations because we have patients from all over the United States, over 40 states, and over 55 countries. As I said, we use the best technology. So I try to anticipate what those patients need during the break in the next few days. All my patients that I have ever operated have complete access to me personally, 24/7. Because I realized that the most important thing that patient needs when they have surgery is access to their doctors, because to untie a knot, you need the person who tied that knot to begin with. So I'm the doctor who performed the surgery, and I'm the best person to solve any problem that surgery have caused. So unlike most surgeons, every patient I operated, I give them my personal cell phone, and I call them after surgery, and they have unimpeded access to me 24/7. I provide what the patient needs the most in a surgeon, which is personal access. So to continue live with that commitment, which is very rare. Most surgeons don't do that. Patient, you can try it. Yannick, you have surgery, whatever surgery, then you try to reach back to the doctor. You cannot reach a doctor. You only can reach a nurse. And if you ask for doctor's email address, they don't give you. They give you practice email address. And good luck if you ask for the surgeon's personal cell phone. They will never give you. But I proactively give all of my patients that I do surgeries my personal cell phone because I want to tell them that at the end of the day, it's about their trading places. At the end of the day, it's the commitment I have to each of my patients. Once I operate it, you are my patients. I'm the one who initially tied the knot, and I want to be the one who is going to untie the knot. So that's a tremendous commitment, and I'll be seeing many patients. And I also will be communicating a meeting with doctors and team to plan out the new year. The medical plan in terms of practice growth. We have several new technologies we want to acquire, and we want to continue doing research. And the amnion membrane contact lens now is being used worldwide. The amnion membrane contact lens, as I mentioned, I invented technology. So now that I want to continue educate and teach, and often have doctors traveling through the practice from different countries or different parts of the United States, see how I operate. And so they shadow me, and that's pretty much taken my whole day. Tonight, I'll be going to several events. That one of which is January 3rd, Saturday. I'll be going to Symphony, National Symphony, helping a friend. They're having event with about probably 400 people. It's a black tie event for good cause, raise money for charity. And so I want to use that opportunity to meet with different people and continue share my singular, powerful message, which is common ground. And I will meet with people across political aisles, across religion, across ethnicity, and all that. And so I will come back, and I have several articles I'm been writing, trying to, uh, basically continue the research for the amnion membrane contact lens. And finally, every night before bedtime, believe it or not, Yannick, I exercise. I exercise every night for at least 1 hour, sometimes 2 hours, by myself in ballroom dancing. I vacate a little space in the house, and I'll practice dancing from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. every night. so that I keep myself strong, exercised, and I continue to learn new things in ballroom dancing through the study of physics. The right side brain activity, such as ballroom dancing, I use my left side, the logical side, to study it through the study of physics of body motion in ballroom dancing. And for the left side activities, such as eye surgery, LASIK surgery, smile surgery, cataract surgery, forever young man surgery, for those logical tasks, I use my right side, the creative side, because at the end of the day, I want to treat every patient not just as just a patient with eye issue prescriptions, but as a human being who has emotions, who have specific human need. It is the artistry of medicine which ultimately have enabled me to truly care for my patient, to truly make them happy. That's my goal, and that is not just medicine logical, but it's also artistry. So at the end, I use my right brain, creative, to solve left brain problems such as eye surgery and emotion to help eye surgery and make my patient happy. And I use my left brain, logical, to solve right side brain activities such as creative, emotional, artistic ballroom dancing using logic, physics, science. So that's in a nutshell, it's what I'll be and I'm doing today.
Kudos to your wife that she really lets you share basically with the whole world. It's amazing. So, what did and what impact has had your marriage on everything you do?
Oh, great question. In my autobiography, I talk about many challenges and difficulties because for someone like me who are so committed to not just the medical work, but also sense of mission as human being for common ground, you can imagine how involved I am with work. Work, not just medical work, but also societal work as such for common ground. So it's required tremendous sacrifice and support from my family. And my wife is Annie, and you will see in the movie side, there's a beautiful actress depicting her, is tremendously supportive. She's very interesting. She's opposite me. She's very quiet. She stay in the background. She's not interested in any Zooms, anything. She just want to stay home and be able to take care of me, take care of the 7 cats and 1 chicken. And we are also taking care of her mother, my mother-in-law, 81 years. So we actually took care of her, my parents-in-law for 5 years, 81 years or 83 years old, and also my mother, who is now 90, for 5 years taking care of her. Um, and so it's my family responsibility to take care of the family, but my wife really take care of me to make it possible for me to share what I have with the world, not just medically, but also as human being, as a mission and work in helping find common ground.
It's incredible. Tell us a little bit about the eye because you study the eye so much. Why do you think it is so particular and why it is such a miracle that we actually are blessed with eyesight?
I a vision. It's fascinating. The reason I end up studying ophthalmology is because after my PhD in laser physics, postdoc MIT, and I got enrolled in Harvard MIT MD program, I was trying to decide what I'm going to do. Right? What specialty? I met a 50-some-year-old. This talk about in my autobiography. 50-some-year-old patient who was born blind. And when I met her, I realized there was an opportunity for me to learn about a blind person's life. So I asked her, I said, "So you have never seen?" She said, "I've never seen in my life." I said, what does red mean to you? What does blue mean to you?" She paused for a moment and she said, "Red means something to me warm and fluffy, blue, something cold and slippery." So she basically replaced her absent vision sense with tactile temperature sense. So at that moment, I realized that if a human being lives through life without eyesight, it's a big loss. Eyesight is an indispensable part of human experience. In fact, the number of cells in our brain cells in our brain that involve in vision visual signals capturing interpretation is more than half. So more than half of brain cells are involved in vision. So just to show how important vision is, because the rest of the senses, speaking, hearing, touching, smelling, all group into another half. Just vision is taking more than half the brain. And the vision, the reason I got into ophthalmology is because I want to be involved, to be that person who bring people out of darkness into light. I think there's no more important, more inspiring work than that. And people say, meanwhile, you work so hard in laboratory development and your membrane contact lens, the foundation is, my answer is that I live for that moment, work for years, decades in a laboratory, working hard. I published 10 textbooks in ophthalmology. So I worked very hard, but the reason I worked so hard is because I live for that moment when someone who has been living in darkness open his or her eyes and see the bright new world. And that moment is what I live for.
What does God and Jesus Christ mean to you in your life, and how has it changed the way you see really the world?
Becoming a Christian, knowing Jesus Christ, have made me humble, making me realize that as a scientist, yes, we need to study science research. We know what things are made of, but we do not know why. Science is necessary. We got to study science and technology, genetic engineering, stem cell research, because without that, we cannot advance medicine, cannot improve the quality of lives, cannot address the 5 key human mortality, cancer, cardiovascular disease, stroke, diabetes, hypertension, and Alzheimer's disease. But science are just tools. They are necessary but not sufficient in terms of developing a purpose-driven life. Knowing Jesus Christ has given me a sense of purpose, what I'm going to use the science for. And, depends on what one does, right? An architect, God will give you different purpose. For me, the purpose God has given me is to use my hard-earned medicine and science technology, 2 doctorate degrees, to help those who need the most help, which are blind, orphan children. So the impact of knowing Jesus Christ is giving me a purpose, what I'm going to use my science for. I went to school, Yana, believe it or not, for 31 years, because I got 2 doctorate degrees, 1 PhD in laser physics, 1 MD, and all that study took me 31 years. And God wanted me to use that 31 years training, which is necessary for the sufficient part of life's purpose, is to help those who need the most help. That's why I have a foundation to help blind orphan children. So knowing Jesus Christ make me humble to recognize I don't know everything, and the science are just tools, and faith in Christ give me a purpose. And so knowing Christ make me humble and make me realize that who truly invented the amnion membrane contact lenses is not me, it's him. Because I did not invent the amnion membrane, I did not invent the placenta. As a scientist and Christian, that God has given me the precious opportunity to capture a little glimpse of part of his original creation. But also that becoming a Christian not only make me humble, but also elevates me, make me realize what's the true purpose of life as such. The true purpose is to help those who need the most help.
How do you respond to people who are afraid of genetic engineering and all those kind of sciences where it becomes to some extent a slippery slope because it can also be used in malicious ways?
Great question. We have AI, ChatGPT. We have genetic engineering, stem cell research, human genome project. And some people say we no longer need purpose, no longer need faith or Christ. My answer is actually opposite. In the 21st century, where technology is so fast developing, we need more Christ. Why? Because rapid developing science need more guidance, faith, moral, ethical guidance. Because rapid developing science, just like atomic energy, can do wonders, atomic energy, but can be disastrous, like atomic bomb. AI when it's not used properly, can be so destructive, is a trillion times more destructive than atomic bomb. That's the risk, that's the potential of evil with these new technologies. So the answer is we do need to recognize the potential damage this new technology can bring to humankind, such as AI. And the only way to guide the AI for a productive, beneficial purpose of human race is through moral, ethical, faith principles. For me as a Christian, is to um, to listen to Christ and recognize that science give me the tools, but Christ give me a purpose. We need more Christ, not less, because we need faith in Christ to guide our research.
Are you hopeful to face the future in terms of all the development in generative AI? It really seems to me that you seem to be hopeful, even though you're super aware of all the potential risks.
I'm super hopeful. Why? Because history is the best guidance for the future, right? If you want to learn about John Smith, you don't listen to what John Smith says, you just watch what John Smith has done. So history is the best prediction for future. And human history is we have had destructive technologies or potentially destructive, such as atomic bomb. Ever since 1950s, 1960s, I mean, we have this assured mutual destruction weapon. If country upload and just blast all the nuclear arsenals, tomorrow the earth will be destroyed 100 times over. But what have we done as human race in the last few decades, since 1950s and 60s? We have not used the atomic weapon. Through the sheer need to recognize that's a assured mutual destruction. So that's a powerful example to show that it is possible, and we have done it, human race using moral ethical constraints to guide technology, avoid the destructive effect, avoid self-destruction. So if we can do that, guiding a powerful technology, avoiding its dangerous application for the last few decades in the atomic energy example, we can do that for AI again.
Lastly, Ming Wang, what a blessing. What's your message for 2026 to all Americans and really all the people around the world?
My message is very simple. Be happy. When you meet someone who has different opinions, political views, ethnicities, religious views, lifestyles, remind ourselves, I'm so blessed to be born, to be alive, because my ancestors, generations, out of trillions, quadrillions of genetic combinations, they have gone through all these survivals and just the right combination to have me to be born. My chance of being born on this planet is one in a trillions. I'm so blessed to have a life, to live. It's not worth self-destruction. It's not worth to be super critical of another person who just different from me. On the other hand, we need to recognize our sheer humanity is to work together, to love each other despite the difference. That's what Bible said. Love your neighbor, love your enemies. And it's about to recognize that we are so lucky to be born, to be living in the year 2026. We need to appreciate what we have. So be happy, be tolerant, be loving, be embracing. And it is the fundamental appreciation of humanity, the chance that we still have life, we're still living today, that motivate us to avoid seeing beyond the short-term human gain for power, money, and control, which is what divide us, to see the long gain for survival. That is, be happy, be tolerant, be understanding, be willing to trade places will make you happy. So be a person who's looking at the cup, which is a half full, rather than being fixated, as we often do today, the cup that is half empty. Focus on what we have, not what we don't have.
Ming, thank you so much for being truly a blessing to myself and really to the whole world. Incredible.
Thank you, Yanne, for your wonderful work in bringing important messages from different people you interview to the world today. And I think it's important to have people like you and your voice to kind of encourage people to sit back, look beyond the daily, very sometimes challenging situations and daily events and see what's the meaning of life, how we can learn from each other, so that we all can benefit, and we all can be happier. Thank you.
Dr. Ming Wang. That's why knowledge matters. Make your life a masterpiece. Visit now programs.d-ykm.com.